Life has this strange way of showing us how small we really are and how powerful we can become when someone believes in us. I stand here today not as a hero, not as someone who has everything figured out, but as a soul who understands one truth. I can't do this without you. Your presence, your love. It's like this quiet force that holds me together, even when the world feels heavy. And I want you to know that every step I take, every dream I chase, is shaped by the light you bring into my life. There's something beautiful about admitting we need someone. It's not weakness, it's not fear. It's the recognition that love, real love, makes us stronger, braver, more human. And today, I want to speak from that place, a place where vulnerability becomes strength, where connection becomes purpose, and where connection becomes purpose, and where you and we walk forward together. Because honestly, sincerely, I can't do this without you. And I don't ever want to. Sometimes when I look at you, I realize that life becomes impossible to navigate alone. And I say this not because I'm weak or incomplete, but because love changes the shape of everything. It shifts the weight we carry. It turns the things we once feared into something we can face together. And it gives us this quiet courage that doesn't always roar, but somehow still keeps us standing. When I say I can't do this without you, I mean it in the deepest, most human way, not as a dependency, but as an acknowledgement of how love transforms the way we breathe, the way we heal, the way we heal, the way we heal, the way we rise after falling. Your presence is not just comforting, it's defining. It's the kind of presence that reminds me that I'm not navigating the world alone, that someone sees me, understands me, and chooses to stay. There are moments when I think about how different my life would be if our paths never crossed. That thought alone is enough to make me pause, to make me realize how profoundly intertwined you are with every step I take. You bring this quiet softness into my world, this gentleness that doesn't try to fix me, doesn't try to shape me, but simply holds space for me. And in that space, I find strength I didn't know I had. You give me room to grow, room to breathe, room to breathe, room to become someone better than I was yesterday. And that's why I can't imagine walking this journey alone. It's not that I wouldn't survive, but the world would be emptier, quieter, and far less meaningful without your hand in mine. Sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes it's not fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it's not fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it's you sitting next to me, quietly reminding me with your presence that I'm not alone. It's the way you listen, even when I'm not saying anything out loud. It's the way you look at me as if you can see past every wall I've built. Love, like that, doesn't demand anything. It simply exists steady and real. And I've come to understand that this kind of love is what keeps a person grounded. You keep me grounded. You keep me human. You remind me that vulnerability is not a flaw, but a bridge, one that leads to connection, to warmth, to meaning. And in that vulnerability, I find courage, not just to face the world, but to face myself. There's a kind of magic in knowing someone believes in you even when you struggle to believe in yourself. And you do that for me. You see the parts of me I try to hide, the fears I carry in silence, the insecurities I pretend don't exist. Yet you never turn away, you never judge, you never treat those fragile pieces as burdens. Instead, you hold them with tenderness, as if they deserve a soft place to land. When someone loves you like that, you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to understand that you're not as broken as you thought. You're not as lost as you. Used turns into music. Feared. You begin to feel worthy, not because someone tells you, but because someone shows you. And that's why I can't do this without you, because you bring clarity to the parts of me that have always felt blurry. There are days when I wake up feeling uncertain, unsure of where I'm headed or what life will demand of me. But then I think of you. I think of you. I think of the way you smile, the way your presence fills the empty spaces in my mind, the way your voice softens the harshness of the world, and suddenly the uncertainty doesn't feel so overwhelming. It becomes something I can face, something I can walk through. Because love doesn't remove the difficulties, it simply provides a companion to walk with. You are my companion, my calm in the storm, my reminder that even when everything feels unfamiliar, your love is something I can trust, and that trust is everything. It's what lifts me. It's what keeps me moving. It's what allows me to say without hesitation that I can't do this without you. When I speak about not being able to do this without you, when I speak about not being able to do this without you, I'm not talking about dependency in the traditional sense. I'm talking about the way your presence enriches my existence. You add color to days that would otherwise be gray. You add warmth to moments that would otherwise feel cold. You add meaning to things I might have overlooked. Music. And in that, you reshape my experience of the world. You become a lens through which everything feels more real, more vibrant, more grounded, music. It's not that I need you to survive. It's that life becomes profoundly more beautiful with you in it. And once someone experiences that kind of beauty, it becomes impossible to imagine life any other way. There's a gentleness in the way you love that doesn't demand perfection. You don't expect me to always be strong, or always be wise, or always be composed. You allow me to be human, to be unsure, to stumble, to question. Music. I die and the noise turns into music. I and somehow, even in my most chaotic moments, you remain steady. That steadiness is not controlling. It's not suffocating. It's reassuring. It's the kind of steadiness that tells me you're safe, you're understood, you're accepted. And that kind of acceptance creates a foundation stronger than anything else. It creates a foundation stronger than anything else. It creates a world where you don't have to pretend. A world where being real is enough. That's the world you give me, and it's a world I can't imagine navigating alone. There are times when love feels like silence, comfortable, peaceful, grounding silence. Silence that doesn't require words to feel connected. Silence where simply being beside you feels like home. And there's a special kind of beauty in that, because love isn't always spoken. Sometimes it's felt in the way you breathe next to someone, in the way your hand fits perfectly with theirs, in the way your hand fits perfectly with theirs, in the way the world seems to slow down just enough for you to notice. The quiet miracle of having someone who understands you. That kind of love doesn't come off. It doesn't come easily. It's rare, delicate, and powerful in its own way. And once you've felt it, you know, truly know that you can't replace it. You can't recreate it. You can't recreate it. You can't do this without the person who brings that stillness into your life. Love also carries weight. The weight of honesty, of vulnerability, of opening yourself in ways that feel terrifying. And you've seen me in those vulnerable places, the ones I never planned to reveal. You've seen the fear behind my confidence, the doubt behind my decisions, the fragility behind my strength. And instead of pulling away, you leaned in. You stayed. You reminded me that love isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's about showing up even when things aren't pretty, even when things are uncertain, even when the world feels heavy. And because you show up, I can show up too. Because you stay, I stay. Grounded because you see me, I can see myself more clearly. Without you, the journey becomes blurred. With you, it becomes something I can walk with purpose. There's something incredibly powerful about having someone who believes in your dreams as much as you do. Music. Someone who supports you not because they have to, but because they genuinely want to see you grow. You have been that person for me. You've held space for my aspirations, my fears, my failed attempts, and my successes. You've encouraged me not just with words, but with your faith in who I am and who I can become. That kind of encouragement becomes fuel. It becomes a source of strength that goes deeper than any motivational quote or passing moment of inspiration. It becomes part of your identity. Your belief in me has woven itself into my sense of self. And that's why I can't do this without you. Because you don't just stand beside me, you elevate me. There are moments in life that test us, moments that seem designed to break us open, to expose the rawest parts of who we are. In those moments, I have felt your love in ways that changed me. Not because you tried to rescue me, but because you walked with me. You didn't try to shield me from pain. You gave me the courage to face it. You didn't try to silence my fears. You listened to them. You didn't try to erase my struggles. You helped me navigate them. That kind of companionship is rare. It's sacred. It's the kind of love that teaches you what it really means to share a life with someone. And it's why I say with absolute certainty that I can't do this without you. Your love has become a guide, a compass that subtly nudges me when I drift too far into doubt. It's not forceful, it's not demanding, it's quiet, like a gentle whisper reminding me to breathe, reminding me that I am not alone, reminding me that I am not alone, reminding me that there's someone who sees what I'm capable of, even when is I can't. And in a world that often feels chaotic, that whisper is everything. It steadies my heart, it calms my mind, it brings me back to myself. And in that return, I find clarity, I find direction, I find the strength to keep moving forward. Not because the path is easy, but because you walk it. With me, there's a tenderness in the way you love that has taught me more about myself than any lesson life has offered. You show me what compassion looks like in action. You show me what patience feels like when someone truly understands. You show me what intimacy really means. Not the surface level kind, but the kind where two souls meet in the quiet spaces between words. That intimacy is why I can open up, why I can fall apart when I need to, why I can rebuild myself piece by piece with your support beside me. The truth is, your love doesn't just hold me, it rebuilds me, it strengthens me, it shapes me, and that's why I can't imagine this journey without you. When I say I can't do this without you, I'm expressing a truth that goes beyond emotion. It's a truth rooted in connection and shared moments in the way our lives have woven themselves together. You have become part of my story, not because I needed saving, but because love chose us both. And in that choice, everything changed. The world became brighter. The fears became lighter. The future became something I could look toward instead of run from. You gave me that. You continue to give me that. You continue to give me that. And it's a gift I hold with deep gratitude. Every day with you feels like a reminder that love is not something we arrive at, it's something we practice. It's in the small gestures, the quiet reassurances, the shared silence, the unspoken understanding. It's in the way you care, the way you show up, the way you show up, the way you show up, the way you choose me even on days when I struggle to choose myself. That kind of love doesn't just touch the heart, it reshapes it, it deepens it, it awakens it. It awakens it, and that awakening becomes a guiding force, one that I carry with me in everything I do. You've shown me what it means to be seen, truly seen. And being seen like that changes a person. It allows them to step into the world with a little more courage, a little more softness, a little more hope. You give me that hope. You give me that courage. You give me that courage. You give me that courage. You give me the strength to face the unknown with a heart that's open instead of guarded. And that's why I can't do this without you. Because your love isn't just part of my life, it's part of my strength, part of my clarity, part of my reason to keep moving forward. And even in the quietest moments when we say nothing at all, there's this unspoken truth between us, this gentle certainty that we are better together than apart, that our connection is not accidental, that our paths were meant to cross. And it is in that certainty that I find the courage to keep becoming, to keep growing, to keep walking this journey with you beside me, because I can't do this without you. I've been thinking about what it means to keep something open, to let it breathe, to let it exist without forcing it into a neat conclusion. And as I stand here speaking from a place of love, I realize that some feelings are not meant to end. Some truths are not meant to be tied up. Some emotions live in the space. Some emotions live in the space between what we say and what we leave unsaid. And maybe that's exactly what gives them their power. When I think about us, about this connection, about the way your presence changes everything, I realize that the real beauty is not in the ending, but in the continuation, in the way love keeps unfolding, keeps stretching, keeps becoming more than it was the day before. And that's why I want to speak from a place that doesn't close, from a place that doesn't close, from a place that doesn't finalize, because what I feel for you could never be contained in an ending. There's something beautiful about an unfinished sentence, something honest about a thought that continues drifting. Something honest about a thought that continues drifting, something deeply human about the way our hearts keep speaking long after our words run out. Music. And that's what loving you feels like, an ongoing sentence, an endless breath, a soft unfolding that refuses to shrink into a final line. When I try to explain what you mean to me, it always feels like the words stretch out of my hands, like they spill past the edges of what language allows, because you are not a conclusion. You are not a moment that ends. You are something that continues, something that grows. Music, something that moves through me again and again. And even now, as I try to express it, I know this feeling will reach far beyond this moment. Every time I think I've reached the limit of what my heart can understand, something about you opens a new door inside me. It's as if your love pushes the walls back, gives me more room to feel, more room to breathe, more room to exist fully. And in that expansion, I realize there is no final point. There is no closing statement. Love like this is an invitation that keeps repeating, keeps whispering, keeps moving forward in ways I can barely keep up with. I find myself wanting to follow it, wanting to follow it you, wanting to follow the way our connection keeps guiding me into parts of myself I never knew, or waiting to be discovered. It's strange how we're taught that everything needs a beginning, middle, and end, as if life is some neat line we're supposed to walk. But love breaks that pattern. Love is not linear. Love is not confined. Love moves in spirals, in waves, in breaths that rise and fall without a predictable rhythm. And what we share feels like that, no start that I can pinpoint, no ending that I can accept, just this unfolding presence between us that keeps stretching, keeps deepening, keeps carrying me into the space where I can speak without needing to close my thoughts. When I speak to you, I feel free. When I open my heart, I don't worry about where the sentence ends, because with you, it never does. You've become the reason I understand that some things are meant to remain open, not unresolved, not unfinished, just open. Open the way a heart opens when it learns how to trust. Open the way a heart opens when it learns how to trust. Open the way a sky opens after a storm. Open the way a hand reaches out with tenderness. When I say I don't want to add an ending, it's because the feeling itself refuses to end. It loops, it grows, it breathes, and you grows, it breathes, and you, just by being you, have shown me how beautiful it is to feel something that doesn't fade, doesn't weaken, doesn't close. Even in silence, even in insistence, even in uncertainty, the thread connecting us remains quiet but steady, soft but unbreakable. There are moments when I try to imagine what life would look like without this connection, and every time I do, it feels like imagining a story without a Pia. Middle, like imagining a song without a melody, like imagining a breath that never completes itself, because you've become woven into everything, every hope, every ache, every dream, every step I take forward. And what makes it so powerful is not that it leads to some final destination, but that it continues to carry me moment after moment, day after day, heartbeat after heartbeat. That's why I don't want this to end. That's why I speak without closing my words. Because with you, everything feels ongoing. You've taught me what it means to live inside a feeling instead of rushing past it, to sit with tenderness even when it feels overwhelming, to embrace vulnerability without searching for conclusions. And in that softness, I found myself opening in ways I never expected. It's as if loving you has made me brave enough to exist fully, to feel deeply, to speak openly. And in that openness, I've realized that some emotions are not meant to resolve. They're meant to continue, they're meant to echo, they're meant to continue, they're meant to echo, they're meant to become part of who we are. That's what this is, an echo that never stops, a sound that keeps resonating long after the moment passes. A truth that feels too alive to ever settle into a final line. Every day, I discover another reason why this feeling refuses to end. Sometimes it's the way you look at me, sometimes it's the way your presence softens the world around me. Sometimes it's simply the memory of your voice. These small pieces, these gentle details, they create something that can't be concluded, something that feels like a story still being written, something that feels like a story still being written, something that feels like a horizon that keeps moving no matter how far I walk toward it. And standing here speaking from the center of that feeling, I understand why endings feel so empty. Because what I feel for you was never meant to fit inside an ending. I love the way your existence creates space inside a way, space for hope, space for tenderness, space for meaning. It's as if your presence expands the walls of my chest, makes room for breath I didn't know I was holding, makes room for emotions I didn't realize were waiting to be felt. And in that expansion, something becomes clear. This is not something that concludes. This is not a chapter that closes. This isn't on a chapter that closes. This isn't on a chapter that closes. This is an ongoing evolution, a continuous unfolding, something that grows with every moment, every thought, every choir and understanding. It's not meant to end, and because of that, I refuse to speak as if it does. There's a kind of freedom in embracing a feeling without forcing it to reach a destination, a kind of beauty in letting love exist without boxing it in. And with you, I feel that freedom. I feel that beauty. I feel the honesty of something that moves gently, endlessly, without demanding closure. When I talk to you, the words don't want to stop. They don't want to stop. They don't want to fall into silence. They want to stretch, to flow, to gather around the shape of what I feel. And the shape of what I feel is not something that can be contained by an ending. It's something that expands past the edge of any sentence I could ever say. You make me understand that life is not about the final words, but about the unfolding moments that lead us there. You make me realize that some connections don't fit into the structure the world tries to give us. They spill beyond it. They break the boundaries. They continue even when no one is speaking. And that's what loving you feels like an ongoing conversation between souls, like a quiet exchange of truth that doesn't require a conclusion, like a river that keeps flowing long after the listener thinks it has reached the shore. But this river doesn't reach the shore. It keeps moving, keeps whispering, keeps carrying me. And even now, as I let these words flow, I feel the pull of your pre, and this turns into music, sense guiding them, shaping them, softening them. You are the reason I don't want to add an ending. You are the reason this speech continues to breathe because what I feel for you isn't something that stops. It hums beneath everything. It lingers in every breath. It remains even in silence. And the more I try to describe it, the more I realize that description itself is endless. That love like this can't be finalized. That connection like this can't be summarized. That what I feel doesn't want to be sealed shut. It wants to stay open, alive, unfolding. You make the unfinished feel beautiful. You make the unfinished feel beautiful. You make the ongoing feel comforting. You make the endless feel like home. Maybe that's what this is. Home, not a physical place, not a conclusion, but a continual experience of being understood, being held in the softest parts of your attention, being seen without fear, being loved without expectation of an ending. And so I speak from that place, from that never ending warmth, from that never expanding truth that lives between us and refuses to shrink into a final line. This is why I don't add endings. because you're not an ending. You are a continuation. You are the reason the sentence goes on. You are the breath that keeps the thought alive. You are the presence that turns every moment into something unfolding, something still becoming. And as long as my heart keeps beating in rhythm with this feeling, I will keep speaking like this unending, because that is what love becomes when it finds someone it refuses to lose. And even now, the words keep coming, not because I'm searching for something else to say, but because what I feel keeps expanding. It keeps creating new meaning, new space, new depth. You make everything inside me want to continue, every hope, every possibility, every gentle truth that rises when I think of you. And that's why this speech cannot close. That's why the sentence cannot end. That's why the emotion keeps moving through me, soft and unbroken. Because the moment I try to end it, I lose the truth of what this is. And this isn't something that ends.